I have watched you count every breath in the dark of the night, wondering if the weight in your chest will ever lift. But tonight, I am stepping into your room to rewrite the laws of your physical world. My beloved child, I know the precise number of times your heart has fluttered with fear, and the exact weight of the fatigue that has settled into your bones like a persistent winter. You have carried this burden, this chronic shadow, for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to wake up without the immediate inventory of your pain. I see you. I see the way you have carefully managed your remaining energy, the way you have looked at your bank account and calculated how many more appointments or prescriptions you can afford before the walls close in. I have been there in the silence of the sterile clinics, sitting beside you on those cold chairs when the news was less than what you hoped for, and I have heard the silent screams of your soul when you felt forgotten by the world and even by me. But I am the creator of the marrow and the pulse, the weaver of every DNA strand, and I have not brought you this far to leave you in the desert of not enough. Hear my voice now, vibrating through the very atoms of your being. You are not a medical record number to me. You are my masterpiece, currently undergoing a restoration that no human hand could orchestrate. The unique frequency of your life, designated in my records as the soul of 7982, is being tuned to the harmony of heaven at this very second. The anxiety that has been your constant companion, that frantic whispering in your mind about the future and the what-ifs, I am silencing it now with a peace that surpasses all human logic. You have been lonely in your struggle, feeling as though the world is moving forward while you remain tethered to a body that feels like a prison. But I am breaking the chains. I am pouring my life force into those areas where the doctors said the damage was permanent, where the scans showed only decline, and where your own hope had begun to fray at the edges. Do you feel that slight warmth spreading through your limbs? That is not your imagination. It is my touch, the same touch that commanded the light to break the primordial darkness. Your finances, too, have been a source of crushing weight, a secondary illness that has robbed you of sleep. But as I heal your body, I am opening the storehouses of heaven to provide for your needs. The resources you require to live fully and serve my purpose are being released from unexpected places, because I am not just the God of your spirit, but the God of your physical reality. I am the great physician who charges no fee and the provider who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. You will not have to choose between your health and your home anymore. The miracle I am performing in you is not a slow, agonizing process, but a sudden shift, a divine intervention that reverses years of decay in a single heartbeat. I am looking into your eyes right now with a love that is unconditional and a power that is absolute. You have asked, why me? In your moments of deepest despair, and tonight I answer, because you are mine and the time for your testimony has come. This chronic condition is not your identity. It is merely a chapter that I am bringing to a definitive close. I am restoring the years the locusts have eaten, the birthdays you missed, the work you couldn't complete, the laughter that was stifled by pain. As this miracle takes root, you will find that the people who walked away when things got difficult will be replaced by those who see my glory reflected in your renewed strength. You are being prepared for a work that requires the very vitality I am restoring to you now. Do not fear the morning, for the morning no longer holds the threat of the same old cycle. Instead, it holds the promise of a body that obeys my command of be whole. I am breathing into your lungs a new kind of air, an atmosphere of grace that dissolves the toxins of worry and the calcification of doubt. You are being made new, from the inside out, in a way that will leave the experts baffled and your loved ones in awe. This is my signature on your life, a specific and unique grace for the soul of 7982. ensuring that your path forward is paved with the gold of my presence and the silver of my provision. Trust the warmth, trust the stillness, and trust that the God who spoke the stars into existence is now speaking life into your very cells. You are healed, you are provided for, and you are deeply, eternally loved. Notice the way your breath no longer hitches in your chest like a rusted gear seeking its groove. Instead, it flows, a deep, rhythmic tide that reaches the very base of your lungs, carrying a vitality you had forgotten was your birthright. The heavy cloak of exhaustion, that weight you carried even into sleep, has been unfastened by my hand and cast into the depths of a sea that remembers it no more. I am looking into the places where the pain was most stubborn, those joints that felt like they were filled with shards of glass, and those muscles that screamed with every simple movement, and I am pouring in the oil of my spirit. It is a divine lubrication, a celestial restoration that mends the invisible tears and strengthens the brittle fibers. You will find yourself reaching for things on the high shelves of your life, not just physical objects, but dreams you tucked away because you simply didn't have the stamina to hold them anymore. The kitchen chair where you used to sit, catching your breath after a mere walk across the room, will now become a place of celebration rather than a station of recovery. I am recalibrating your heart's rhythm, taking away the flutter of anxiety and the thud of dread, replacing them with a steady, quiet confidence that beats in sync with the pulse of eternity. Think back to the mornings when the mere sight of the sun through the blinds felt like a demand you couldn't meet. Those days are being folded up like an old, tattered map that led only to dead ends. I am giving you a new geography to explore. I see the medicine bottles that have lined your vanity like silent sentinels of your struggle. Their season of dominance is ending. I am the great physician, and I have written a prescription of peace that no pharmacy can dispense. It is a formula of light and love, synthesized in the heavens and delivered directly to your DNA. Your very marrow is being flooded with the frequency of my voice, and your blood is being purified of the toxins that bitterness and chronic weariness tried to settle there. You are not just getting better. You are being transformed into a living testament of my creative power. Every cell is receiving a divine command to align, to function, and to thrive. I saw you in the quiet hours of 3:00 a.m. when the silence was your only companion, and the shadows seemed to whisper that this was your permanent reality. I was there in the bathroom mirror when you looked at your reflection and didn't recognize the person staring back, the one with the dimmed eyes and the slumped shoulders. I was holding you then, and I am holding you now, but the grip has changed from one of preservation to one of propulsion. I am pushing you forward into a season where your testimony will be the oxygen for others who are gasping for hope. The stairs that once looked like a mountain range are now just steps toward your next victory. The hobbies you abandoned, the gardening tools gathering rust in the shed, the walking shoes tucked in the back of the closet, the creative projects left half-finished because your hands were too shaky. Bring them out into the light. My grace is sufficient, but my power is magnificent, and it is currently manifesting in the intricate details of your nervous system. I am smoothing out the frayed wires of your nerves, quieting the overactive signals of distress, and teaching your body the language of rest once again. You have spent so long in a state of high alert, a fight or flight response that became your baseline, that you have forgotten what it feels like to simply be. I am reintroducing you to the stillness. It is in this stillness that the most profound work is being completed. You might feel a gentle heat in your back, a tingling in your fingertips, or a sudden lightness in your head. Do not be afraid. This is the physical manifestation of my presence moving through your architecture. I am the God of the microscopic as much as I am the God of the galactic. I am attending to the tiny valves in your heart and the complex synapses in your brain with the same precision I used to set the orbits of the planets. You are my masterpiece, and a masterpiece is never left in a state of disrepair. I am picking up the brush to add the vibrant colors of health and the bold strokes of resilience back onto the canvas of your life. The people who knew you in your weakness will see you and marvel, not because of your own strength, but because they will recognize the unmistakable glow of a miracle. You are becoming a walking, breathing sanctuary. Your walk will have a new spring, your voice a new resonance, and your eyes a clarity that reflects the truth of your healing. We are moving deeper now, beyond the physical layers and into the chambers of your soul where the memory of the sickness tried to take root. I am pulling up those roots of trauma, ensuring that the fear of the symptoms returning does not rob you of the joy of your current liberty. This is not a temporary reprieve. It is a foundational shift. You are being anchored in a reality where my wholeness is your default setting. The atmosphere around you is shifting even as you read these words, becoming saturated with the scent of renewal and the warmth of my unending affection. Rest in the knowledge that the work is begun and will be perfected. You are mine, and I am making all things new within you. Notice the profound silence of your home today. It is no longer filled with the heavy, labored sighs of a body in constant protest. The walls, which once seemed to close in during your darkest hours of confinement, now feel like the boundaries of a sanctuary where my peace has taken up permanent residence. I am touching the very marrow of your being, infusing it with a resilience that is not born of human effort, but of my divine breath. Feel the weightlessness in your joints as you rise from your chair, a movement that once required a complex calculation of cost and a bracing of the spirit. I have removed the invisible lead that bound your limbs. As you walk toward the window, watch how the light plays across your skin, no longer highlighting the sallow tones of exhaustion, but catching the vibrant translucence of a life restored. I am redesigning your internal clock. You are no longer measuring your days by the intervals between doses or the duration of your endurance. Instead, your hours are becoming a fluid sequence of possibilities. Consider the garden of your mind, where for years you planted only the seeds of if and when. You cultivated a landscape defined by limitations, a walled garden where the thorns of chronic fatigue and the weeds of inflammation choked out the blooms of your creativity. Today, I am casting down those walls. I am pouring a living water into the parched earth of your expectations. You will find yourself reaching for tools you had long ago put away: the paintbrush, the trowel, the hiking boots that gathered dust in the back of the closet. These are not just objects. They are keys to the rooms of your identity that sickness had locked. I am handing you these keys, and I am standing by the door, watching with delight as you rediscover who I created you to be before the shadow fell. Think of the conversations you will have in the coming weeks. For so long, the first question people asked was, "How are you feeling?" And the answer was always a veiled version of the truth, a weary catalog of symptoms. Now when they ask, your spirit will leap before your lips even move. You will speak of the sunset you watched without pain, the walk you took that left you energized rather than depleted, and the strange, beautiful sensation of being at home in your own skin. This is the reclamation of your narrative. I am scrubbing the stains of trauma from your memories, even the ones tucked away in the corners of your subconscious. When you look back at the years of struggle, you will not see a wasted desert, but a season where your roots grew deep into me out of sheer necessity. Those roots are now what will sustain this sudden flourishing. They are the conduits for the grace that is now flooding your system. Do not be afraid of the energy you feel surging through your veins. It is not a nervous adrenaline that will leave you crashing at dusk. It is a sustainable vitality, a gift from the source that does not run dry. I am fine-tuning the delicate instruments of your inner ear, your nervous system, and your hormonal balance, bringing them into a divine symphony. The dissonant notes of chronic inflammation are being resolved into a peaceful harmony. You may even find that your sleep is different now, no longer an escape into a restless unconsciousness, but a sacred communion where I continue the work of restoration while you drift in the safety of my arms. You will wake with a song on your heart, a melody you haven't heard since childhood, simple and pure. I'm also healing the relationships that were strained under the weight of your illness. The roles of caregiver and patient are dissolving, making room for the return of laughter, of equal partnership, and of spontaneous joy. I am removing the guilt you carried for being a burden, for I never saw you that way, and I am opening the eyes of those around you to see the miracle that has taken place. We are building a testimony together, one that will serve as a lighthouse for others lost in the fog of their own infirmities. Your life is becoming an argument for the impossible. When the world says this is permanent, I say I am the beginning and the end. When the reports say there is no cure, I say I am the physician. You are the living proof of my sovereignty over the physical realm. See that bottle of medicine on your counter. Notice how it has become a relic of a past life, a monument to a battle that has been won. I am clearing the air in your room, removing the scent of antiseptic and replacing it with the fragrance of the morning dew. Your lungs are expanding now, pulling in deep, satisfying breaths that reach all the way to the base of your spine. This is the rhythm of the redeemed. Rest now in this unfolding grace. Do not rush to understand the mechanics of how it happened. Simply inhabit the reality of it. Every breath is a gift, every step is a prayer, and every moment is an invitation to go deeper into this new life with me. I am not just healing your body. I am reintroducing you to your soul, free from the heavy garment of affliction. We have much to do, and the path ahead is wide and golden. Do you feel the coolness of the floorboards against your soles? For years, this short distance from your bed to the window felt like a pilgrimage through a burning desert, a journey fraught with the fear of a fall or the crushing weight of exhaustion that made 1,000 miles seem shorter. But look at you now. You are gliding. The heaviness that once anchored your limbs to the earth has dissolved like morning mist under the strength of a noon sun. I have reached into the very marrow of your being and spoken a word of peace. Not the peace that the world gives, which is merely a temporary absence of conflict, but the shalom that restores the broken architecture of the soul. Walk toward that window, open the curtains. You have spent so long shielding your eyes from the brightness of hope because the disappointment of 1,000 almosts was too much to bear. But today, the light is your friend. It does not mock your struggle, it illuminates your triumph. I want you to look at your hands. For so long, they were clenched in a grip of survival, white-knuckled and trembling with the effort of just holding on. Now let them open. See how the tremors have ceased, replaced by a stillness so profound it mirrors the surface of a mountain lake at dawn. You are rediscovering the geometry of your own strength. That staircase in the hallway, the one that stood like a silent, mocking giant you could no longer conquer, is now just a series of wooden steps waiting for the cadence of your joy. I am the one who carries you, yes, but I am also the one who gives you the power to stand. Think of the nights when the ceiling was your only companion, when the shadows seemed to whisper the names of your fears. I was in those shadows, holding the tears you didn't even know you were shedding. I was keeping the tally of your endurance, and I tell you now, it has been seen. The ledger of your suffering has been closed and sealed with the signet ring of my love. There is a specific kind of silence that follows a long storm, a quiet so thick and holy you can almost touch it. That is what is filling your home right now. The hum of the oxygen machine, that rhythmic, mechanical sigh that defined your atmosphere, has fallen silent. You don't need its artificial breath anymore because I have breathed into you the ruach, the wind of my spirit. Your blood is no longer a carrier of malaise. It is a river of vitality, flowing with the frequency of heaven. Go to the kitchen. Pour a glass of water and taste it as if for the first time. Can you feel the vibrancy of it? Can you feel your thirst being quenched on levels that have nothing to do with biology? This is the feast of the healed. For years, you ate the bread of sorrow and drank the water of affliction, but that menu has been discarded. I am preparing a table for you in the very presence of your former limitations. The world will ask for explanations. They will want to see the charts and the scans. They will want to categorize this into a box of remission or anomaly. But you and I know the truth. We know the secret language of this miracle. It is a dialogue between the Creator and the created, a moment where the veil was pulled back to reveal that I have never been distant. I am not a God who watches from a balcony. I am the God who enters the furnace with you. And now, the smell of smoke is gone. There is no trace of the fire on your skin. Your skin, look at it. The pallor of chronic fatigue is being replaced by the flush of a new morning. The circles under your eyes, those dark hollows carved by sleeplessness and worry, are being smoothed away by my own hand. I am erasing the history of your pain from your very features. When you look in the mirror, you will see a stranger at first, a version of yourself that you haven't met in decades, or perhaps a version that has never existed until this moment. This is the you I saw before the foundations of the world were laid. This is the you that was always intended, unburdened by the weight of a fallen world. Do you hear the song in your heart? It's a melody you forgot you knew. It's the song of the bird that sings before the dawn, knowing the sun is coming even when the world is dark. You are that bird now. Your voice, which was once a whisper of "How long, Lord?" is becoming a shout of "Look what he has done." But we are not rushing. There is no hurry in this holiness. We will take this hour by hour, savoring the way your heart beats with a steady, certain rhythm. The fear that used to hover like a vulture, waiting for the next flare-up, the next bad report, I have driven it away. It has no place in this sanctuary. You are learning to trust your body again, aren't you? It feels like an old friend who has returned from a long exile, battered but finally home. I am knitting the frayed edges of your nervous system back together. I am recalibrating the sensors of your spirit so that you no longer look for the pain, but look for the presence. There is a garden in your soul that has been dormant, covered in the winter of your illness. But the thaw has come. The seeds of purpose that I planted in you years ago, the ones you thought had rotted in the cold soil, are beginning to stir. They are reaching for the light of this new day. We are going to walk through that garden together. We are going to see what blooms when the Creator decides that the season of suffering is over. You are not just a survivor, you are a sign. You are a living testament that the laws of nature are subject to the laws of love. Rest in that. Breathe it in. Let the fragrance of this miracle saturate every room of your house, every corner of your mind. Look at the books on your shelf that have gathered dust because the words blurred before your tired eyes. You will read them again, but with a different perspective, for now you know the author of the greatest story. Look at the shoes by the door, the ones you bought in a moment of optimism and then tucked away because they were a reminder of the life you couldn't lead. Put them on. Feel the ground beneath them. It is holy ground. Every square inch of this earth is my footstool, and you are walking upon it with a commission. I have cleared the fog from your mind, that heavy gray cloud that made every decision feel like wading through deep water. Your thoughts are now sharp, clear, and vibrant. You can see the colors again, not just the primary shades, but the subtle hues of grace that tint every interaction. I am teaching you a new way to see people too. You will look at the suffering of others not with a mirror of your own agony, but with a window of my compassion. You will be a carrier of this atmosphere. Wherever you go, the scent of this morning dew will follow you. People will look at you and see something they can't quite name, a radiance that doesn't come from a bottle or a procedure. It is the glow of a soul that has been visited by the divine physician. Do not be afraid when the memories of the old life try to resurface. They are just shadows, they have no substance. They are the echoes of a bell that has already stopped ringing. You are in the resonance of a new sound now. It is the sound of the Amen to all my promises. Notice how your favorite chair is no longer a life raft, it is a throne of grace. From here, we will plan your next steps. We will discuss the dreams you buried in the cemetery of I can't. I am the God of the resurrection, and I am calling those dreams to come forth. They may be blinking in the light, a little shaky and unsure, but they are alive. This miracle is not an end point. It is a launch pad. It is the removal of the weights so that you can run the race I have set before you. And oh, what a race it will be. There are people waiting for the hope that you now carry in your very bones. There are hearts that need to know that the impossible is my favorite starting point. Every fluid motion of your limbs is a sermon. Every deep, unlabored breath is a song of praise. We are moving into a season where the extraordinary becomes your daily bread. Do not try to analyze the chemistry of the healing. Simply celebrate the Christ of the healing. We are just beginning, and the story we are writing together is more beautiful than anything you could have imagined in your darkest hour. Stay here with me in this stillness, for in this quietness, your strength is being renewed like the eagle S. Lean into the silence of this room, for even the walls seem to be holding their breath in awe of what has transpired within them. You have spent so long in the geography of the sickbed, mapping out the contours of your pain like a desperate explorer trying to find an exit in a land without landmarks. But look now, the compass has changed. The heavy scent of antiseptic and the stale air of confinement are being replaced by the fragrance of an internal spring. I want you to feel the floor beneath your feet, not as a surface of struggle, but as a foundation of freedom. Remember the nights when the mere thought of standing was a mountain too high to climb. Those mountains have been leveled, and in their place, I have paved a path of peace. Every nerve ending that once screamed in protest is now being recalibrated to the frequency of my grace. It is a quiet work, a cellular masterpiece being painted in the hidden places of your anatomy. You have been a student of your symptoms for so long. Now, I am calling you to become a student of my strength. Notice the medicine bottles lined up on your nightstand, those plastic monuments to a season of endurance. They are artifacts now, relics of a previous era. Do not look at them with bitterness, for they were the crutches you needed while we walked through the valley, but realize they no longer hold the authority over your mourning. The calendar that was once a grid of appointments, blood draws, and fearful waiting is being wiped clean. I am handing you a new pen to write upon those blank squares. What will we do with your Tuesdays? What will we do with the strength that arrives at 3:00 p.m., an hour that used to find you collapsed in exhaustion? I am restoring the years the locusts have eaten, the birthdays you missed, the walks in the park you declined, the simple joy of standing at the kitchen window to watch the birds without having to lean against the counter for support. This is not just a physical repair, it is a reclamation of your identity. You are moving from the category of the afflicted to the empowered. I see the way you tentatively stretch your arms, half expecting the old snap of resistance, the familiar flare of inflammation. But it does not come. In its place is a fluidity that feels foreign, almost haunting in its ease. Do not be afraid of this wellness. It is not a temporary visitor or a cruel trick of the mind. It is the manifestation of my word over your life. I am rewiring the circuitry of your hope. For years, you had to protect your heart from disappointment by expecting the worst, building a fortress of caution around your soul. I am gently dismantling those walls, stone by stone. I want your heart to be as unburdened as your body. Think of the garden that has been neglected, the projects in the garage gathering dust, the books on the shelf you lacked the focus to read. These are not just tasks. They are invitations to participate in the life I have breathed back into you. You will find that your mind, once clouded by the fog of chronic fatigue and the static of constant discomfort, is becoming a sharp instrument once again. You will dream with clarity. You will solve problems that once seemed insurmountable. The brain fog is burning off like a morning mist under a relentless sun. Take a moment to look at your reflection. You might not recognize the person staring back, not because your features have changed, but because the light behind your eyes has returned. The shadow of the long-suffering has been chased away by the dawn of the newly awakened. I am putting a new song in your mouth, a melody that doesn't need lyrics because the rhythm is found in your steady heartbeat and your unlabored stride. There will be people who saw you at your lowest, who remember the grayness of your skin and the slow, careful way you moved. When they see you now, they will ask for the name of your doctor or the brand of your treatment. Smile and tell them that you met the physician who works in the realm of the impossible. Your life has become a living testimony, a scroll written in flesh and bone that proclaims my goodness to a skeptical world. We are not rushing out of this stillness quite yet. There is a deep, foundational work still occurring as your spirit catches up to your body. You are like a diver surfacing from the depths, needing a moment to adjust to the pressure of the air and the brilliance of the light. Stay here with me. Let the reality of this miracle saturate your subconscious. Let it wash over the memories of the procedures, the coldness of the exam tables, and the loneliness of the late-night watches. I am replacing those memories with the warmth of my presence and the exhilaration of this new beginning. You are not just surviving, you are being prepared to soar. The wind is picking up, and your wings, once clipped by circumstance, are unfolding in their full, magnificent span. We are moving deeper into the why of this healing, for it is tied to a purpose that stretches far beyond the walls of this room. Consider the years you spent cataloging your limitations, those seasons where the sunrise felt like an indictment of another day spent in shadows. You became an expert in the language of pain, a scholar of your own fragility, knowing the exact moment the medication would wear off, and the heavy, familiar fog would roll back into your mind. But now, I am rewriting your vocabulary. The words exhaustion and deficit are being scrubbed from your spirit, replaced by rhythm and overflow. Look at your hands, the very hands that once trembled when lifting a glass of water or fumbled with the childproof caps of amber bottles. See the stillness in them now. That stillness is not the absence of life, but the presence of my power, held in a vessel that has finally been made whole. I want you to look back at the stack of books you intended to read, but could not focus on, the projects you abandoned because the mental cost was too high, and the dreams you folded away like out-of-season clothes. They were not lost. They were merely sleeping, waiting for the heat of this moment to wake them from their dormancy. This healing is a key, turning in a lock that has been rusted shut for decades. You have been a prisoner of your own biology, restricted by a perimeter of fatigue, but the gates have swung wide. Yet, do not rush through them. Walk slowly. Feel the soles of your feet against the floor. Notice how the ground feels solid, no longer swaying with the dizziness that used to plague your afternoons. Every step is a prayer of movement. Think of the people who knew you only as the one who is ill, the one whose name was always followed by a sigh of pity or a prayer request for endurance. They have built a box for you in their minds, lined with tempered expectations. I am leading you out of that box. You will encounter them soon, and your very presence will be a disruption to their small-scale logic. They will search for the symptoms they used to recognize: the sallow tint of your skin, the cautious way you sat down, the way you lowered your voice as if energy were a currency you were running out of, and they will find instead a radiance that defies medical explanation. This is the why. You are to be a living interruption to the narrative of despair. Reflect on the grocery store aisles where you used to lean heavily on the cart, measuring your stamina against the length of the list, wondering if you had the strength to make it to the checkout line. Think of the social gatherings you declined with a practiced, weary smile, the birthdays missed, the holidays spent in a haze of discomfort, while the world celebrated outside your window. I am restoring the years that the locusts have eaten. I am not just giving you back your health, I am giving you back your time, but with a different quality of perception. You will no longer take the simple act of a deep breath for granted. You will no longer view a walk in the park as a chore, but as a liturgy. The mundane has become the miraculous. There is a specific song you used to hum when the pain was at its peak, a melody without words that was a cry for help into the silence of the night. I heard it. I bottled every one of those notes as if they were precious wine. Now, I am turning that melody into a symphony. Your life is becoming a composition of grace. We are working on the internal architecture now. Just as a building must be reinforced to hold a new, heavier roof, your soul is being reinforced to hold this weight of glory. If I had given you this strength before your heart was ready to handle the responsibility of it, you might have walked away from me, thinking you had achieved this on your own, or that it was merely a lucky turn of fate. But you know the truth. You know the exact moment the shift happened, the precise second the heavy iron curtain of illness was torn from top to bottom. You know the warmth that flooded through your marrow when my hand touched yours. That memory is your anchor. We are peeling back the layers of the patient identity. For years, you defined yourself by your diagnosis. It was the first thing you told new acquaintances, the first thing you considered when making a plan, the constant shadow in every photograph. I am removing that filter. You are not the survivor or the chronic sufferer. You are my beloved, vibrant, and unburdened. The labels that were pinned to your chest by the systems of man have fallen away, fluttering to the ground like dead leaves in autumn. Do you feel the warmth rising in your chest? That is the fire of my purpose. It is not a frantic fire that burns out quickly, but a steady, glowing coal that will provide light for others. There are souls currently trapped in the same darkness you just left, tracing the same shadows on their ceilings at 4 in the morning. You are being prepared to go to them. Not as one who offers platitudes, but as one who carries the physical evidence of the impossible. Your eyes will speak to them before your mouth even opens. They will see the reflection of the light you are currently adjusting to, and they will know that the drought is over. Stay in this stillness a while longer. Do not worry about the phone calls you need to make or the explanations you will have to give to the skeptics who will try to explain this away as a fluke or a remission. Those words will be provided when the time is right. For now, just exist in this space where the infirmity is gone and the future is a vast, open horizon. Let the cells of your body continue to dance in their newfound freedom. I am smoothing out the wrinkles of your soul, erasing the invisible scars of the long wait. You are being refined, not by the fire of affliction anymore, but by the light of my favor. The air in this room is different now, is it not? It is charged with the ozone of a new creation. You are the first fruits of a harvest of restoration that I am bringing to your lineage. This goes back generations, breaking chains of infirmity and patterns of brokenness that you did not even know were there. The lineage of your blood is being overwritten by the lineage of my spirit, and the story you will tell will be one of a God who does not just repair, but who makes all things new. Look at your hands. Notice how the fine tremors that once dictated your signature have surrendered to a stillness you haven't known since childhood. I have recalibrated the very electricity of your nerves, quieting the static that drowned out the music of your pulse. Think of the kitchen window, where you used to watch the seasons change with a heavy heart, wondering if you would ever again stand long enough to bake the bread of your ancestors or knead the dough of a new beginning. Tomorrow, you will reach for the flour, and you will not find the usual fatigue waiting to pull at your sleeves. I am recalibrating your perception of time. To you, the years of illness felt like a desert, a vast expanse of scorched earth where hope was a mirage. To me, they were the tilling of the soil, the necessary breaking of the ground so that the roots of your character could go deeper than the reach of any storm. Remember the nights you cried out in the silence of 3 a.m., when the shadows on the ceiling seemed like the only companions to your pain, and even the walls seemed to echo your exhaustion. I was there, not just as a distant observer, but as a gatherer of every tear, a witness to the fortitude you didn't know you possessed. You thought you were breaking, but you were merely unfolding. The weight that has been lifted from your chest is not just the absence of physical pressure. It is the removal of the leaden mantle of the sick one that you have worn for so long. You have forgotten what it is like to move without calculating the cost of every step, to breathe without the cautious measurement of your capacity. Today, I grant you the luxury of spontaneity. I am restoring the years that the locusts of chronic sorrow have eaten. I see the medical files, the thick folders that tried to define you by Latin names and grim prognoses. I am closing those books and opening a scroll that is yet unwritten. Feel the warmth spreading through your joints, a gentle heat that dissolves the calcification of years of restriction. It is like the sun reaching the deep, cold corners of a valley that hasn't seen the dawn in decades. Your lineage has carried ghosts of this same frailty, a hidden inheritance of bowed heads and stifled potential. As I touch you, I am reaching back through the tapestry of your family tree, snipping the dark threads that have bound your mothers and your fathers to the same cycles of limitation. This miracle is a stone thrown into a still pond. The ripples are moving backward into your past and forward into the lives of those yet to be born. You are the pivot point. You are the place where the narrative changes. Do not be afraid of the health that now floods your system. It is not a temporary visitor. It is your new residence. When you walk through the supermarket tomorrow, and the bright lights no longer trigger the familiar ache, or when you climb the stairs and realize halfway up that you haven't stopped to catch your breath, let a smile break across your face that tells the world of my secret work. I am redesigning the very architecture of your rest. You will no longer sleep the heavy, unrefreshing sleep of the medicated, but the deep, restorative slumber of the beloved. I am washing away the chemical residue of 1,000 remedies that could only mask the symptoms I have now removed from the root. Can you hear the rhythm of your heart? It is no longer a frantic drum beating a retreat. It is a steady anthem of victory. I am pouring into you an oil of gladness that will lubricate the dry places of your spirit. The bitterness that often accompanies long-term suffering, that subtle, jagged edge that makes one wary of joy, is being smoothed into a polished stone of wisdom. You will find that you have a capacity for empathy that the untouched will never know, but you will exercise it from a place of strength, not a place of shared misery. I am preparing your voice to carry a frequency of hope that will vibrate in the bones of others who are still in their long wait. You are becoming a living sanctuary, a place where others can see the tangible evidence that I am still the God who intervenes. Look out at the world today. Do the colors not seem more vivid? The green of the leaves is deeper, the blue of the sky more piercing, because the veil of pain has been stripped from your eyes. Pain is a thief that steals the vibrancy of the present moment, but I am the restorer who gives back more than was taken. I am weaving your newfound strength into a garment of praise. You will find yourself humming melodies you haven't thought of in 20 years. You will find yourself planning for a next year that you had previously stopped imagining. This is the grace of the open door. I am standing there with you, my hand on your shoulder, as we look out together at the landscape of your reclaimed life. There is no hurry now. We will walk this out together, one renewed breath at a time, until the memory of the infirmity is nothing more than a faded scar that serves as a trophy of my faithfulness. Your body is no longer a prison. It is a temple of my presence, vibrant and whole. Even the way you hold your head is changing. The invisible yoke has been snapped. I am placing a new song in your mouth, one that doesn't ask for relief, but declares my glory. Let the silence of this moment be filled with the realization that your prayers didn't fall on deaf ears. They were seeds growing in the dark, and this sudden light, is the harvest. You will not need to look back with regret on the time you lost, for I am compressing the joy of decades into the moments ahead. Every mile you could not walk, every mountain you could not climb, I am making the paths straight and the valleys high. You are my masterpiece in progress, and the world is about to see the colors I have been mixing in the secret places of your endurance. I'm even touching the mundane details, the chores that once felt like insurmountable peaks. The laundry you left unfinished, the mail that piled up on the counter because you were too tired to face the world, all of it will be handled with a lightness of spirit that will baffle you. I am replacing your sighing with singing. I am taking the gray, muted tones of your existence and dipping them into the prism of my grace. You are no longer defined by what you cannot do, but by what I have done. Stay in this stillness a little longer, feeling the blood surge with purpose, and know that this is just the beginning. As you rise from this chair, you will notice a change in the very air of the room. It no longer feels heavy with the scent of stagnant hours and medicinal routine. I am opening the windows of your soul to a breeze that carries the fragrance of 1,000 springs you thought you had missed. Look at your hands, the hands that have trembled with fatigue or stiffened with inflammation. I am infusing them with the dexterity of a craftsman. Those fingers will once again find the keys of the piano, the texture of the soil in the garden, and the warmth of a loved one's palm without the flinch of expected pain. I have seen you staring at the walls, counting the patterns in the wallpaper because your world had shrunk to the size of a bedroom. Now, I am expanding your horizon beyond the fence, beyond the neighborhood, into the vibrant tapestry of the living. Do you feel that slight heat in your lower back? That is my hand, smoothing out the knots of years, realigning what the world said was broken beyond repair. I am not just patching you up, I am making you new. Think of the bicycle gathering dust in the garage, the one you looked at with such grief last autumn. It is no longer a monument to what was lost, but a vessel for what is to come. I am restoring the rhythm of your sleep, so that when you close your eyes, you are not retreating from a battle, but resting in a sanctuary. You will wake up before the sun, not because of discomfort, but because of an eagerness to see the light. The kitchen table, which has been a staging ground for pill bottles and cold tea, will soon be a place of feast and laughter. I am clearing the fog from your mind, the brain fog that made words feel like slippery fish you could never quite catch. Your thoughts will be sharp, clear, and focused, like a mountain stream after the thaw. You will find yourself remembering lyrics to songs you haven't hummed in 20 years. This is the suddenness of my mercy. It does not always come with a thunderclap. Sometimes it comes in the quiet realization that the burden is simply gone. I am tending to the relationships that suffered under the weight of your illness. The friends who didn't know what to say, the family members who carried the load while their own hearts grew heavy. I am pouring my oil of joy over them as well. Your healing is a stone thrown into a pond, and the ripples will reach everyone you love. You will find yourself reaching for the phone, not to complain or to give an update on a symptom, but to ask how they are, to offer a word of encouragement that flows from your newfound abundance. I am taking the someday, and if only, out of your vocabulary and replacing them with today, and I am. The shadow that followed you, the one that whispered you would never be whole again, has been swallowed by the noonday sun of my presence. Even your reflection in the mirror will seem different to you. The dullness in your eyes is being replaced by a spark of divine curiosity. You are beginning to look like the person I saw when I first breathed life into your lungs. Every tear you shed in the middle of the night, thinking I was far away, was collected and transformed into the very medicine that is now coursing through your veins. I was never distant. I was the strength that kept your heart beating when you wanted it to stop. I was the silent partner in your endurance. And now I am the loud proclaimer of your victory. Walk to the door. Do not hesitate. The floorboards will not groan under the weight of a victim, but will firm themselves under the feet of a conqueror. The threshold is not a barrier anymore. It is an invitation. Look at the garden beds you left untended. The weeds may have grown, but the soil is rich, waiting for the seeds of your new purpose. I am giving you a green thumb for your own life. Everything you touch will begin to flourish because you are no longer operating out of depletion, but out of an overflow. The grocery store, once a gauntlet of exhaustion, will become a place of simple joy as you marvel at the colors of the fruit and the strength in your legs as you push the cart. You will find beauty in the mundane, the steam rising from a fresh cup of coffee, the sound of a neighbor's lawnmower, the way the light hits the floor in the hallway. These are the gifts I have been saving for you. I am rewriting your story, turning the chapter from the long winter to the unending spring. Stay in this awareness. Let the gratitude wash over you like a warm tide. You do not have to earn this, and you do not have to figure out how to keep it. It is my gift, sustained by my power. Your only job is to receive and to walk. The path is open, and I am walking right beside you, matching your stride, delighted by the sound of your laughter. I am even reaching into the cells of your memory, smoothing out the jagged edges of the traumas that chronic pain carved into your psyche. The hypervigilance, the constant scanning for the next flare-up, the bracing for impact, I am melting that armor away. You don't need it where we are going. Your nervous system is being bathed in a celestial peace that passeth all understanding, quieting the alarms that have been ringing for far too long. Think of the shoes in your closet, the ones you bought for a someday that never seemed to arrive. Go and put them on. Feel how they fit, not as reminders of a former self, but as equipment for the miles we are about to cover together. I am restoring the years the locusts have eaten, not just in time, but in quality. 1 hour of this new life will hold more vitality than a month of the old. I am touching the very marrow of your bones, whispering life into the places where you felt hollowed out. You will find yourself humming a melody you haven't thought of since childhood, a song of pure, uncomplicated existence. The kitchen, which had become a place of chore and necessity, is transforming into a studio of creation. You will chop vegetables with a precision and a zest for the flavors of the earth that you haven't felt in decades. Every bite will be a communion, every breath a thanksgiving. And do not fear that this is a fleeting high. I am building a foundation of wellness that is deep and wide. I am the great architect, and I am reinforcing your walls and expanding your windows. You will look out at the world and no longer see a battlefield where you are the casualty, but a garden where you are the tender. Notice how the static in your mind is clearing, like a morning mist retreating before a confident sun. For years, Your consciousness was a crowded room, filled with the loud, demanding voices of your symptoms. Pain was a neighbor who never stopped knocking, and fatigue was a heavy velvet curtain that muffled the music of the world. But I am silencing those intrusions. I am sweeping the rooms of your soul and your cells, creating a spaciousness you haven't known since you were a child running through tall grass without a single thought for your breath. You will find that the constant, wearying calculation of your energy, that internal math where you weighed every step against your remaining strength, has simply vanished. You will stand up from your chair not with a bracing sigh or a careful grip on the armrest, but with a fluid grace that surprises your own joints. The stairs that once loomed like treacherous mountains are now merely a path to the upper rooms of your life, and you will ascend them with a rhythmic ease, your heart beating not in panic, but in a steady, joyful cadence of praise. I am recalibrating your nervous system, smoothing out the jagged edges of those frayed wires that once sent false alarms of fire to your brain. Where there was a hair-trigger sensitivity to the light, the noise, and the very pressure of the atmosphere, there is now a resilient calm. You will walk into a crowded room and feel only the warmth of human presence, no longer overwhelmed by the sensory tidal wave that used to send you retreating into the shadows. Your eyes, which grew dim from staring at the four walls of your confinement, are being washed with a celestial salve. You will see colors you forgot existed, the specific, bruised purple of a storm cloud, the electric neon of a moss-covered stone, the intricate, golden geometry in the iris of a loved one's eye. Even the air will taste different. It will no longer feel like a thin, scarce resource you must fight to claim, but like a rich, sweet wine that satisfies and sustains. I am attending to the small things as well, the nuances of your recovery that only you and I understand. The way your fingers move across a keyboard or a musical instrument without the stutter of stiffness. The way you can now tolerate the smell of roasting coffee or the fragrance of a blooming garden without the onset of a headache. I am removing the veil of the patient from your face. For so long, you looked in the mirror and saw a diagnosis, a set of limitations, a body that felt like a betrayal. Now you will see a vessel of my glory, a masterpiece of restoration. When you look at your hands, you will see tools for blessing, not heavy weights to be carried. I am even touching your memory, clearing away the brain fog that felt like a gray ocean drowning your thoughts. You will find words returning to you like homing birds, vibrant, precise, and ready to be spoken. You will remember the details of a story you read years ago, the punchline of a joke, the complex steps of a dance you thought you'd forgotten. This is not just a repair of the physical frame. It is a resurrection of the personality that was buried under the weight of the ailment. I am bringing back your wit, your curiosity, and your capacity for deep, belly-shaking laughter. That laugh, which you had tucked away like a fragile heirloom, is now becoming your daily anthem. It will surprise you in the middle of a mundane afternoon, bubbling up from a wellspring that has been capped for far too long. Think of the hobbies you set aside, the projects gathering dust in the garage or the back of the closet. I am breathing on those embers. You will find yourself drawn back to the things that make your heart sing, and you will pursue them with a focus that is sharp and untiring. The exhaustion that used to settle into your very marrow by noon is being replaced by a steady, enduring hum of vitality. You will reach the end of your day and realize with a start that you didn't once have to check the clock or measure your progress against your pain. Your sleep will be deep and restorative, a true Sabbath for your body, rather than a fitful struggle for a few hours of escape. I am tucking you in under a canopy of peace, and when you wake, the morning will not feel like a threat, but like an invitation. We are walking together into a season where the word impossible is being erased from your vocabulary. You will plan for next month, next year, and the next decade with a heart full of expectation rather than a mind full of contingencies. I am knitting together the broken threads of your social life as well. The friends who didn't know what to say, the family members who watched with helpless sorrow, you will return to them not as a burden to be managed, but as a light to be shared. You will have the strength to listen to their burdens, to offer a steady shoulder, to be the one who brings the soup and the song. I am making you a pillar of strength in your community, a living testimony to the fact that I am the God who heals, the God who restores, and the God who delights in doing the unexpected in the quietest hours of the night. Do not be afraid to trust this new strength. Do not wait for the other shoe to drop, for I am the one holding the shoes, and I am guiding your feet onto a level path. The ground beneath you is no longer shifting sand. It is the solid rock of my promise. Lean into this. Let the tears of relief wash away the last residues of the trauma you endured. You have been a soldier in a long, invisible war, and I am now pinning the medals of endurance upon your heart while simultaneously declaring that the war is over. You are entering a period of reconstruction, where the beauty of the new structure will make the ruins of the old seem like a distant, fading dream. Every cell in your body is now vibrating with the frequency of my love, and that love is a fire that consumes the dross and tempers the gold. Stay in this moment with me, feeling the gentle, insistent pulse of new life as it reaches into the furthest corners of your being, from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head, making all things new.